This week, Walmart updated their EV charging website as the nation's #1 retailer gears up for their debut onto the national stage. The Tesla Supercharger team opens their Canopy pull-through station at the very popular Kenley truck stop on Interstate 95. And Amazon looks to be assessing the use of tritium DC fast chargers at some of their delivery fleet locations. Let's get into it. Quick correction from last week's episode. I mentioned we previously had an interview with someone from PowerUp America, but I had my CPOs confused. The previous interview I was referring to was with Asha of Connected America, which is based in Houston. PowerUp America is based in Eastern Tennessee. I apologize for the confusion. I'm here at what is known as the DLT Amazon delivery facility, which is a very busy Amazon delivery center. And over a year ago, I noticed triple-digit numbers of level 2 chargers showing up on the Shell Recharge app for this address. And when I came by to look, I just saw this sea of Rivian vehicles behind me. I don't know how many there are. I'd probably guess somewhere around 300 Rivian delivery vehicles. And just rows and rows of level 2 chargers. I'll cut in some drone scenes just to show exactly what I'm referring to, but it's a very large implementation of level 2 chargers. And for those who don't know, Amazon has really embraced the electrification for their last mile delivery, at least for here for sure. And in my neighborhood, I really don't see anything except Rivian delivery vans doing package deliveries. And I would venture to say that the Rivian delivery vehicle is the most popular electric vehicle in this area. I mean, I know there's a lot of Teslas and everything. It just seems as though there's so many of those Rivian delivery vehicles around with the Amazon wrapping. This past week, I saw a photo of a tritium DC fast charger getting installed at an unidentified Amazon delivery facility similar to this one. And it looks like what they're assessing is the added cost of DC fast charging, if it's going to be worth the faster turnaround of the delivery trucks. Because if you refuel the electric delivery vehicles for last mile delivery using level 2, they need a longer amount of time to refuel. But if you paid more for a DC fast charger, you could refuel them more quickly and get them back on the road doing more deliveries. So I think that's what's going on. And if so, that would be a pretty big change coming in the future for properties like this. Sticking with major retailers, as reported by YouTuber The Arkansas E-Traveler, the Walmart website, where information on their EV charging is available, has been updated with many new things. For instance, you can now click on Find Chargers, and it brings you to a map that has an intuitive way of viewing with your zip code what might be available for charging at Walmart properties in your area, and the ability to search other locations. They also have some informative little info videos in order to how to charge, and an FAQ, some new design marketing backdrops for the website and everything. So it looks like they're getting ready to gear up for their main push, which we all see getting ready to come here pretty soon. Next, in a very interesting X post this past week concerning the breakfast at the Tesla diner, Elon Musk said, quote, "The futuristic Tesla diner is going well. Probably makes sense to open one near our Giga Texas headquarters in Austin and engineering HQ in Palo Alto." Now, from that X post, I think there's two things that we can defer. One of which is there's currently no other plans for diners, although that was suggested to be something that we might be able to look forward to. It sounds like from the X post right now there are no additional plans, because he's like in the formative stage of developing where these additional ones may go, and it hasn't actually happened yet. And secondly, we can infer that likely if there is a decision to move forward with additional diner locations, the two locations are going to be Austin and Palo Alto. Now, these are very slow in coming. The one in Hollywood really took a long time to get built. And so I wouldn't hold your breath here on eating a burger in Austin or Palo Alto at a Tesla diner anytime soon. But at least it's something to hang our hats on, that it looks as though those are likely the 2 additional locations that will be coming here shortly. I mentioned last week about a partnership announced between PowerUp America and ChemPower. Several stations announced to be coming soon. One of the stations in Manchester, Kentucky is said to be the first, and indications it will be open before the end of the year. At least that was in the press release. On the PowerUp America website are renderings that show Canopy pull-through designs with attached facilities. Knowing they, in previous press releases, have mentioned attendantless convenience stores, I'm assuming that's what we're looking at here. I was able to locate the plot from one of the photos on their website as adjacent to a huddle house. There's a picture on their website that shows a pickup truck, and then if you actually download that picture, you could actually see a huddle house. And from that, there's only one huddle house in Manchester, Kentucky, and you can basically assess what plot of land we're looking at. So I created the pip in PlugShare and added that. Additionally, because I'm tenacious here, I was able to get an interview with the CEO of PowerUp America. Let's go to that now. I'm here with Josh Turner, the founder and CEO.
Yes.
Founder and CEO of PowerUp America. Sir, much appreciated for you coming on.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a privilege. We love Out of Studios and every Out of Spec Studios and everything that is produced, including bits and the podcast and everything else. So it's awesome to be able to join.
Yeah, just amazing what Kyle has put together with the ensemble of channels. But sir, your company has been all over the news as of late. I don't know, you touched the right nerve, and news outlet after news outlet after news outlet has been reporting specifically concerning the station, I believe in Kentucky, is the one that is garnering the most attention. And some of the renderings from your website have also been publicized on those articles as well. But before we get into all that, can you just give us a little background on PowerUp America, where it came from, and where we are now?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's once again a privilege. Thank you so much for having me on to spotlight PowerUp. Really, the foundations for PowerUp is simple. I was just I drove a gas truck. I was doing real estate developing and just spending a lot of money on fuel. Live in East Tennessee. There's not a lot of EVs over here in the East Coast, especially near where I live. And for me, I'm 6'6", I'm a big guy, and just didn't find an EV that really fit for me. But with the amount of gas I was spending, I felt that pain at the pump and really wanted to improve that situation. And then Ford rolled out the F-150 Lightning, and that was the first time that for me, I got to see that's what I want. That's what makes a difference for me. It was a practical vehicle that one was cool, but it was fast. It was obviously efficient and had all those features for me. And like any other driver that's considering EV, the question became, well, what's public charging like? And so I bought the truck. I was one of the very first 1,000 ever made in the F-150 Lightning, and got to experience a huge saving at the pump. I went from $700 a month on gas to $70 a month on electric. And it was a truck that goes faster than the F-150 Raptor, and all these things that just made it such a compelling vehicle for me and for my lifestyle. But then I took it on a grand road trip and got to experience the wild, wild east, if you will, of EV charging, taking it from East Tennessee to Florida, and got to experience just, it's in a big box retail chain. It's 100 yards from anything. It's uncovered. It's not pull through. You have a truck with a trailer. You detach your load to plug in. And there's just some things that logistically for me didn't make sense. Why is there such a national spotlight on EVs? The OEMs are spending all this billions of dollars investing in it, and there's been no consideration for the driver and the reliability and the safety and that unique experience that matters for that gas station, has provided for drivers for decades now. And, the EV space has kind of been thrown together, and it's here's charging, go figure it out. And so I got back from that road trip and I called up a buddy of mine who was working in the data center industry, but also bought an F-150 Lightning about 3 days after I did, and said, Jesse, we have to do something in the charging space. There's got to be a way to do charging differently. And so that really set us off on a path where we began to explore, okay, economics of charging. What does that look like? Like, I'm an entrepreneur. I've built businesses and done it successfully, but I was like, what's the model to make this work? And there was none. In East Tennessee, you can't put one in Johnson City, where I'm from, and make it make money sense for the amount that the infrastructure cost. And so we began to explore different routes and avenues. And that's when there's some federal grants that came out at that exact same time that opened up the door for us to really build the convincing use case that has now become PowerUp America. We really have spent 3 years building a really solid foundation for the next iteration of what charging should be. And we hope to set it as a standard for what other developers will be producing as part of what the next level of EV charging is, that next level experience. And really, we come down to 3 main principles. We want safe, reliable, and unique charging experience for the driver. And you'll see that in obviously what we've brought forth to the world and what we're now constructing our very first ever site in Manchester, Kentucky, through the NEVI grant that we won in that state. But we're intending on expanding it to dozens of locations across the Southeast in the upcoming 12 to 24 months.
Yeah, and if I can, there's a couple of things that you just said that kind of sparked something that I was thinking about. I would imagine if you're going to a banker in order to propose a business plan for an EV charging line, it doesn't look great. But if you can back it up saying, well, I have this NEVI grant that's taking a large chunk off the top, that the additional funds I need in order to put me across the finish line, rather insignificant. It's a lot easier to get a yes answer out of a banker in that situation. I don't want to get into the specific details concerning the builds of these stations. They really look spectacular from the renderings. We'll get to those in just a second. But you mentioned about the truck in Eastern Tennessee. I travel through there quite a bit, and I'm kind of surprised that agro community hasn't gravitated more towards electricity for fueling their trucks than has been occurring. I actually thought the F-150 would have taken off even faster because they tend to be very self-sufficient. And you would think being able to plug in your pickup instead of having to drive, 10 minutes down the driveway and then another 20 minutes into town in order to get fuel. So lots of times they'll put like a diesel bladder on the farm or whatever in order to fuel up the tractors and trucks, and they fill things that way. But I just would have thought in the agro community, the pickup truck electrification would have been more quickly adopted, and it doesn't seem so yet, but I'm thinking that's inevitable at some point. Those self-starters and those self-sufficient folk are really going to, once the lights turn on, it's one of those things you can't describe it to a person. I've found, I just give up on trying to convince someone you have to go EV. They have to see it. They have to see it for what it is themselves, has been my experience.
And what we've seen, and I'll add just a comment to that, is, we've seen, me growing up in East Tennessee and having been born and raised here, there's just a geographical difference between just the natural perspective of EVs. Mm-hmm. And, coming from a location where, what we've seen on a national level is EVs, and I don't want to get too controversial, but it's been a very highly political.
It's been politicized. It shouldn't have been. Yes, right.
Where it needs to be a matter of what is a unique technology for the user. And so one of the things that we've tried to do is take politics out of it. If it makes sense for you, it makes sense for you, and you should absolutely get that technology. But the farmer and those people that would actually benefit from the vehicle, it's been amazing to have conversations, say, hey, hop in my truck and take it for a spin. And they're like blown away by the technology.
It's faster, it's got more work, and you could charge it off the outlet in the back of your house.
There's been dozens of people that have come to me, test drove my vehicle, and gone out and bought an EV because their whole life's been like, well, charging and well, this and well, that. I'm like, well, think about it. Like, you're going to refuel at home. You're going to take it to the office and back. You don't ever need a public charger. And so it's just really overcoming a lot of the common misperceptions against EVs. And I won't be the one to say EVs are for everybody, but they're for a lot of people. And I think that there's a huge opportunity to continue to promote that market forward as we begin to see, the costs come down, because that's been an inhibiting factor, is high cost of entry when owning an EV. But the low maintenance schedule, just the speed, the torque, the fuel savings, all those things for the average driver that has to drive that around every day makes a lot of sense. And that's why it's such a convincing argument for us. And it's an easy sell. I sold my first F-150 Lightning. I sold my personal F-150 Lightning to somebody because they wanted a truck that was capable like mine. So it's just a matter of continuing to have an open dialogue about the uniqueness of the technology and seeing how that best fits for your life.
Exactly. I think it's very similar to the whole concept that if you're going to have your power tools be powered by batteries or plug-in, and back, the batteries added extra weight and had to be recharged more frequently. If you plug it in, it's more reliable. In my opinion, that's really what electric vehicle decision-making factors around. It's kind of like a personal use case. But sir, some of these renderings, as I mentioned, are very spectacular looking, and it looks as though what's being presented is a very gas station-like experience. And you mentioned the Manchester location, and I believe what I'm about to show is a rendering of what perhaps the Manchester, Kentucky, and this is Eastern Kentucky, which is even more
Rural, yeah.
sparsely populated for EVs than Eastern Tennessee. Eastern Tennessee actually has some, with the 7-state alliance, whatnot, some chart, but Eastern Kentucky is slim pickings. So I'm sure this is going to be sight for sore eyes for EV owners up there once it does get built. But is this a fair representation of what is being intended for the Manchester? And let me switch. There's this one here.
Showcases the buses. Yeah. That's something that we, Jesse and I and our team really poured into is what is the charging station that the driver wants? We are EV drivers that design this. We're not just a corporate entity looking at the cheapest, easiest, most efficient way to deploy chargers. We looked at reliability, safety, and also just that unique user experience that is not found on the market. And the fundamental things that we really stand behind on these full scale deployments is, hey, we want to provide the covers, we want to provide the pull through, and we want to provide that high powered experience to every driver where when they plug in, the new vehicles coming out with 800 volt architecture, you're seeing the Silverados, the GMCs that want upper 300s in power. And the minimum standard for this program was only 150 kilowatts. But if I'm a Silverado driver and I show up and I'm only going to get 150 and I have to charge for 2 hours to refuel my vehicle, for me, I want to have a charger that's capable. And so the average charging session today by no means would mandate a 400 kilowatt capable charger. And actually with the newest version, it's not been publicly advertised yet, but our chargers will be capable of 500 kilowatts. But most vehicles can't take that. But that's where, for us, we said if we're going to invest in a charger, we want a solution that's going to deliver high amounts of power and give the vehicle what it wants. Because, the rapidly evolving technology that's taken place. When we started, the industry kind of scorned us for saying we wanted to put NACS on every port. And that was just before Ford made their announcement and all these other companies made their announcement about NACS. And our point was we don't want to leave Tesla behind on a upcoming network. But then all the companies have since rolled out. And so now it's like NACS and CCS on every port. It's just a logical outspring of what other providers are doing, CPOs are doing.
Totally what I would do at this juncture. I would just do NACS only.
And that's where the market's heading. But for us, we realize there's a gigantic segment like CHAdeMO. For us, it's kind of fallen by the wayside. Love the CHAdeMO users. If you exist, you can bring your adapter. We'll have a great time at our charging station. But with that, that's obviously a more outdated technology. But for us, we saw, hey, the Lightnings and all the current iteration of vehicles that are out there will be around for a long time. We can eventually replace our cable and bring in 2 NACS ports. But what's unique about our system is similar to when you pull up to a gas station, you can grab the gas or the diesel for your vehicle. For us, you just pull up and it's not like you have to, both ports will work. It's you choose your connector and that's what works for your vehicle. That satellite, that dispenser is only for your vehicle. So whatever you plug your vehicle wants, you plug it in. Our perspective has always been the best adapter is no adapter. And so we want to provide a solution that encompasses everyone, whether you're a Tesla Cybertruck, an F-150 Lightning, or your local school bus that wants to stop and get a charge, you can come and not have to deal with adapters and get that high reliable speed that you're looking for.
Yeah, and I have seen with the Nebby freeze, lots of things kind of stall out, but it looks like now that it's starting to thaw, things are starting to pick back up again. And there was mentioned in the press release of stations in Tennessee, stations in Kentucky, stations in Virginia, and I believe there was mention that this one may be open before the end of the year. Is there a thought that after this one, the additional NEVI stations, assuming the funds actually start cycling through the red tape that is each one of the state's programs, will actually start to get built in 2026?
Yes. So, I mean, our team had built a lot of momentum going up into January. Last year in January, we did source the Tennessee Award. We were actually the very first. Tennessee was one of the very early adopters of the NEVI program. So they were working through some contractual stuff through last year as they were working. Kentucky was awarded last fall, and so was Virginia. So we won 5 sites in Tennessee with this exact model, 2 sites in Virginia, and 1 site in Kentucky. But when the pause occurred back in February, when the guidance was rescinded, the only obligated site, which we all found out the difference between allocated and obligated back in February, when the pause occurred, the only obligated site was the Kentucky location. So it became what we were able to put a lot of our thoughts behind, and getting through contract, getting the design work done. And obviously we break ground December 1st on that location. Our hopes was to open it by the end of the year. It's realistically going to be closer to the end of January before the site's complete. But nonetheless, it breaks ground in 3 weeks, 4 weeks now. And we're excited to bring that. But this exact plan is what we're expanding across the Southeast through all of our NEVI wins that we've taken. And also, we have some upcoming announcements coming very soon that I can't quite talk about yet, but that will be further expanding that network throughout the Southeast while we're doing these deployments. But for now, we have 5 in Tennessee, 2 in Virginia, 1 in Kentucky. As of now, all the states are moving forward with their programs. So as soon as we get a contract and the notice to proceed, we'll be able to start breaking ground on this exact rendering model flow for drivers across the Southeast.
Well, terrifically exciting, Mr. Turner, CEO and founder of PowerUp America. Much appreciated for coming on to Out of Spec Bits.
Thank you so much for having me.
What an exciting new CPO. For sure going to be keeping our eyes on what's coming next from them, because those stations really look spectacular. As mentioned at the beginning, the Tesla Supercharger team opened their I-95 Canopy pull-through at the Kenly truck stop station, at Kenly Station at the extremely popular Kenly truck stop. For those who are not aware, the Kenly truck stop is an exceedingly popular destination location for refueling and now electric vehicle charging, courtesy of the Tesla Supercharger team on Interstate 95, midway between the northern and southern border of North Carolina. They seem to be favoring pull-through at travel centers, because not too long ago, I attended a ribbon cutting at a travel center at a Wawa on Interstate 95 in North Carolina in the town of Hope Mill that also had several pull-through stalls that seemed to be off script for Tesla. And now we see another one that is similarly having pull-through stalls. This one has pull-through stalls with canopies, really nice looking. So it seems as though the Tesla Supercharger team is starting to pivot. In a major surprise for me, these things don't normally become sleeper sites, but we have a sleeper Gigahub that opened this past week. This was really surprising. It's in Fort Lauderdale, near the Fort Lauderdale International Airport by BP Pulse. It's at the local Hertz, which all goes according to script. And it's 16 stalls listed as 8 chargers, all listing 150 kilowatts. So we could assume that they're tritium 150 kilowatt. We have no pictures, so we don't know if they're under a canopy or if they're just sticking out there. And the plot of land is not very big, so I almost want to hop in my car and drive to Fort Lauderdale. I mean, I don't need much of an excuse to go to Fort Lauderdale. It's a beautiful area of the country. But anyway, there is a new BP Pulse Gigahub that opened this past week in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, with 16 stalls. Lastly, here in the Southeast, we've been getting a lot of activity from Next Level CPO Ayana, and in Georgia specifically, there have been several very interesting sites. Let's go to Scot Owens, who has been there to delve into some of those exciting stations that have been coming. So I'm here with Scot Owens. Scott, welcome back to Out of Spec Bits.
Thank you, Walter. Thanks for having me. How have you been?
Doing well, and I feel like we're monopolizing the airtime with Southeast EV builds, and it almost seems like there's other parts of the country that should be getting more, but there's so much going around out here. But maybe it's just because, we live here and it's our own backyard and we see all this stuff going on. But it sure seems like there's a ton of stuff going into the Southeast right now. You could tell me different.
Well, it seemed like we weren't feeling the Ayana love there for a bit. Now that we're getting it, I'm paying a lot of attention to it. So I'm glad to see them moving and creeping toward Atlanta even more.
And if I can, you've been to a couple of stations, one of which is, and let me bring this up on a PlugShare map real quick. Cordial. Did I pronounce that correctly?
You did.
Okay. So
people say Cordial.
Is interesting to me because when I first saw the pictures, and correct me if I'm wrong, this is your car.
It is.
I don't know why I didn't notice this before, but you're plugged in and there's another row over here. So there's 2 rows.
There are. Yeah. I think
Okay.
I thought I sent a picture that showed it's kind of, I think, lined up like your Concord site's going to be. The Concord
exactly.
site,
That's what I was getting at. It's
Fruta,
going to be just like the
or
Concord.
Fruta.
It's 4 and 4. And so
It
it'll be a
is.
total
They're
of
directly
16
across from
stalls.
each other.
And
Yeah.
I'm thinking that they're starting to favor that design. I'm starting to see that more and more. So that seems to be almost like their default design now, where they're doing 16 with the 4 and 4 spread on underneath 2 different canopies, unless they're doing just one canopy. But,
Yeah, I think it's really nice. If you'll notice, there's a BP station behind it.
Okay.
And it's sitting in the front yard of a Fairfield Inn that I think when people saw it at first thought that maybe it was part of the Fairfield Inn parking lot. You don't get into it through Fairfield Inn. I think it's just a piece of land that was between Fairfield Inn and the roadway there. So that's my car sitting there as well. So that's the two rows of bays facing each other.
Yeah, so I'm thinking similar to Concord, that they bought the land and they built it, and they're going to be situated, as you say, in between a hotel and a gas station convenience store. I'm assuming this is close to 75. I don't know where it is specifically.
It is right. Well, here's an interesting thing about that one. There's something weird about maps. It's not Ayana. It's Apple Maps, Google Maps. It's 16th Street Avenue or something there. And there's an east and a west, and the numbering's messed up to where the Ayana pin on the Ayana map puts it on the wrong side of the freeway. And it came up in the BMW navigation on the wrong side of the freeway. And I also
How'd you
saw
find it then?
PlugShare. I knew where it was because I had kind of mapped out where I thought it had to be. I knew it couldn't be. I went down there looking back on that rainy day and found it. So I went back down there after it opened to charge. So it wasn't in my BMW navigation on the rainy day before it opened. So it was just PlugShare that was wrong. But it turns out it's wrong in BMW navigation, and I saw a guy at Ford said he had the same issue with Ford navigation. So I'm sure they'll get it figured out. But it's a prime location. You get.
I was going to say hopefully not, because
then
then you can have the station to yourself whenever you show up.
But it's right off the interstate. It's so easy to get to. It's about 4 doors down from the Pilot Flying J. There's a Denny's in between Pilot Flying J and Ayana, and a BP convenience store in there as well. So there's just a little bit of everything right in there. Yeah, there you go. And, so that's the ramp going back north. So if you're coming north on 75, you just jump easy off right there, run in and charge, and then jump right back on the ramp and keep going north.
Yeah, and Ayana's doing a good job of filling in. This wasn't something that I was expecting them to target early on, but you also earlier in the year stopped by the Valdosta, and we had you on the show in order for that, because that was definitely a very exciting build, at least for me. And
I think they're just marching right up 75, because in me doing my EV trips down to Florida, those are kind of Cordial and Valdosta are really good spots on the outbound. Coming back, if you're coming back from Florida and you got a hotel charge or something that may not be 100%, you might not make it all the way home. Or if you're going all the way to Chattanooga or something like that, the Forest location is another good one right before you get to Atlanta and get into Atlanta traffic. So.
Yeah, and we'll get to that in just a second. But I just wanted to point out that as you say, they seem to be targeting that 75 corridor, and I suspect there's several sleeper sites along there in the dead spot of Florida. And as you mentioned, Pilot Flying J has also been doing a good job. Circle K's got a couple of fill-ins there as well. Obviously, Tesla Supercharger is always reliable. But what I wanted to call out also is the one in Atlanta, which is near the airport. And let me just zoom in here and bring the map back up again. Very close. This has got to be prime real estate. I mean, Atlanta in general. I had just spoken to a CPO owner talking about real estate purchasing in Atlanta, and it's near impossible just because the pricing is so exorbitant. But Near the airport. My goodness, this has got to be one expensive plot of land.
Yeah, it's an old Waffle House location. You can tell by looking at the building that used to be a Waffle House, and it's across from a flea market or a farmer's market, I think it is.
Oh, okay.
I know that Ayana on their website talks about next destination, nonstop charging, that kind of thing. So they're trying to imply the Atlanta thing, but it's only 8 stalls. And it's on the international side of the airport. The Atlanta airport's weird. It has 2 entrances. The main entrance is the one on the left side up there. That's to the left over there is I-85, and 80% of the traffic is over there. All the parking garages, all the domestic, that's the traditional entrance to the airport. The right side on the other end is a small entrance for international travel. So I could see some rideshare people using it. My take on it is Ayana's got another big one planned for Atlanta Airport on the other side, like a big beacon or something. Yeah.
It does seem like once they find a foothold in a certain area, they double up, triple up. Right. Jacksonville is one example, but let's just talk about this location because as you say, Waffle House property, and I've never seen a Waffle House go out of business, so this must be a first. But nice plot of land, and judging from the map, is immediately off the interstate, and you say next to a farmer's market, so that's got to be fun on the weekend. I would imagine if I was going to the farmer market, I'd probably want to park over here, fill up, and then come back to a full tank, considering Ayana doesn't charge dwell time or what do they call it?
Idle fees.
Idle fees. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Right.
And but wow, what a nice looking station. And this
is just gorgeous.
Yeah, they poured concrete. That cost some serious dime in order to pour a new concrete area, and it looks like they did this whole area with new concrete. And
that Subway sign, that Waffle House became, after Waffle House, it was a Subway most recently. So that Subway sign belongs to Ayana.
Oh, okay. So I thought it was an adjacent building. Okay.
No, that used to be, it was a Subway after Waffle House. So I'm expecting that Subway sign to be a big, giant Ayana sign.
Ayana
I don't know
sign, that's right.
They're going to have to take it down at least because it's not a Subway there. It's going to be the Ayana location.
Or maybe they put in a Subway. Who knows? But even still, I would have to imagine once this thing is open, it's going to have a pretty hip vibe, close to the airport, close to a farmer's market, with all new construction underneath canopies. But as you say, I think it's inadequate for the location because, and it seems like they could have added more. Like over here, this one, where is a better picture? It's like one sitting all by itself. I would have thought surely they could have at least put 2, maybe 3 in over here. And
I was looking at that one today because I know I've seen some of the Ayana ones have like the little canopy, and we haven't seen any of those in the wild yet. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but that's like a large canopy that spans enough room for a car to park back into it on each side, like parallel parked underneath it. It's weird. Oh, okay. It's very strange. I don't know if that's what they intend people to do or angled part. I don't know what they're up to. It's just a weird, that whole one there is weird. Maybe it's handicapped. I don't know.
Well, even still, so much activity occurring, and with such a prominent CPO as Ayana is definitely a change of fortunes in the area. We were basically living, I've passed through there multiple times, living with EVgo for non-Tesla in the Atlanta metropolitan area. It was actually pretty palatable. I mean, EVgo does a pretty good job in Atlanta, as well as Electrify America does a pretty good job in Atlanta as well. But now we're talking a whole different ball game of experience for electric vehicle charging out there, and not one, not 2, but many. So have you heard?
The other thing I'd make the observation, Walter, is I just was looking at this. I know you study Ayana more than I do, so you might have a different view, but I noticed that both Cordial and Valdosta, they plop themselves right in the middle of other chargers to be the competitive alternative. So Cordial has a big Electrify America in a Walmart parking lot that nobody likes. and they've got the Pilot Flying J that's only 4 stalls. And so they're putting themselves right there. Valdosta is the same thing. Valdosta's got an Electrify America in a Walmart parking lot that doesn't perform very well. It's got broken chargers and a Circle K. So it seems like there's on road tripping, there's just people are saying, let's just go ahead and take it head on. Instead of having sprinkled all up and down the highway, let's just have charging exits where you could have your choice, and we'll try to be the preferred choice.
It could be, yeah. I was watching a video today. The out of spec testing was doing a 10% challenge from the Gardner Ayana rechargery, which I guess is going to be their new starting point. And just right across the viaduct or the bridge going across the interstate is a Tesla Supercharger station. Right. And I was thinking as they were going on the on-ramp, who would use that Tesla Supercharger station? Even Tesla. I mean, if I was in a Tesla, why would I go to that station? Because the pricing at the Ayana station is high 30s, and I got a canopy, I got faster charging, and I've got a lounge that I could go into, use a restroom, and snacks, drink options and everything, windshield washer, squeegees, garbage cans, the whole 9 yards. And the Supercharger station across the street does not have any of that. So anyway, maybe that's what they're doing, is they're trying to elevate the experience and just prove the point that they don't need to go where other people don't. They just have a better experience. So the other people need to.
It's the better option. It's the better option of where you were already going to charge. If you were already thinking you were going to get off and charge at Electrify America in Cordele, no, turn left and go to Ayana. Quicker, faster, and
we got canopies. We got things like garbage cans and stuff. But anyway, sir, much exciting. It'll be super interesting to see this station finally open. When it does, we'll have to do some kind of meetup or something. It is one nice looking station.
I'm looking forward to that one. That's I tested my plug and charge, and I was so frustrated with myself. I was down there I went to Cordele on 11/1, and it wouldn't plug and charge, and it said plug and charge error. And I figured out later it was my credit card expired 11/1. I had a new one. I just hadn't updated my date and my CID. So I haven't tested plug and charge at Cordele, but it worked fine at Valdosta. So I'm looking.
Yeah, that's one of the things about app fatigue, and you have like 30 apps, and it's always tricky to remember which one has been updated and which one hasn't. I've definitely fallen victim to that myself. So
I love that Ayana supporting plug and charge they're trying to do it with everybody. They're doing it with Rivian. They're doing it with General Motors. They're trying to embrace it with everybody. And I think that's the key to.
And the nice thing is it uses the credit card on file with the OEM, which is what I like, which is generally, as you say, up to date. So you don't have the whole app sprawl situation going on, because it's the same one that dings you. I don't know about BMW ownership, but GM ownership has got a monthly bill attached to it now.
Yeah, we don't do that. It's done through Shell Recharge on BMW. It's an aggregate for Shell Recharge for everybody but Electrify America. Electrify America has their own, and you have your own credit card with them.
Yeah, we get dinged for cell usage on a OnStar bill or something, and that's the same credit card they use. But anyway, sir, much appreciated for sharing the day's ventures, and I'm sure we'll be back in touch again sometime soon, because the Southeast is where it's all at, right?
Look forward to it, Walter. Thank you for all you're doing. This is great updates. I love your data-driven analysis. It's very informative and appreciated.
Much appreciated, sir.
Thanks for watching.